I haven't yet called Alex Ross Alex Jones yet, though, so give me a credit for that. Anyway, it's showing the three of them in conflict.
Sir, that is defamation of character.
It really is. If you're listening, Ross, you deserve so much better. It's years of knowledge fight, and having listened to all 980 some episodes that they have that have done this to me. And if you're listening, Dan and Jordan, look what you did to me.
And you're on.
Thank you. Hello, and welcome to Comic Dissection, the intersectional leftist lens comic book club. And we welcome you back at a strange times in the world.
Look.
We are going into probably our strangest presidential election, and man, every time I try and think about it, my head gets foggy and I just have to go lie down, so.
I'm actively not thinking about it. If
Man,
I think about it, if I think about it, I pull up another manga to read. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing...
Well, I bring that up to bring this up. I hope that we can distract you a wee bit from that with some comic nonsense.
Comic nonsense. What this podcast should have been called.
Is it too late to change the name?
We've already got too much stuff.
We've already got too many tiers that are named after doctors and surgeries
Morbid.
and stuff. Yeah. Oh, and this episode is a Reno Dino Valentino pick. That's me. Not a Cecilia Rose. That's the other one.
The other one.
The other voice.
I feel so special.
The other voice you hear. I will say it. I said this to Gorship when we were recording Judgmental Horror Junkies. I'll say it again here. I consider myself extremely fortunate to be able to get together with two of my nearest and dearest and talk about things that I enjoy fucking talking about.
Right.
Like, it makes me super happy.
Yeah.
And yes, this episode we are talking about something that I enjoy. Our old man Alex Ross returns once again. I'm not going to go through his, what do you call it when you say like nice things about someone?
Autobiography?
No, that's just stuff about him. Like his honorifics.
I'm
not going to go into his honorifics. If you would like to hear those, go back and listen to our Justice two-parter. But this is actually, if Alex Ross is known for anything, it is either Marvel's or Kingdom Come. And so we are going to talk about Kingdom Come because in fall of this year, a Kickstarter will launch for a documentary about how Kingdom Come came to exist and how Alex Ross came to draw it with our boy Mark Waid and how this whole thing became created. Kingdom Come has gone down as one of the comics that if you are a person who has read comics, that is one of the ones people will ask you if you have read. right up there with.
So we are solidifying some nerd credentials here.
That's right. This is one of those things. It's like doing a Charles Dickens podcast and finally getting around to covering A Christmas Carol. It's like a thing that has to be done, you know. Dark Knight Returns, fucking. I'm trying to think of like other examples, like a Dragon Ball, fucking.
It's the Sailor
Marvel
Moon.
Civil War, like
it's the Sailor Moon.
Yeah, it's a comic that you just it's part of the vernacular. It's just part of the language now, and but we haven't talked about it yet, which is very important. So
we gotta add it to the notches in our belt.
That's right. Put another notch in our belt. We are lucky that our Romno 1/2 episode is coming out due to a Romno 1/2 revival.
I love that.
I know, and all things willing, this will come out right near when the Kickstarter will go off for Kingdom Come. Like even though we record really far in advance, we managed to get almost.
We get a little lucky sometimes.
We do. So Kingdom Come was originally put out in 1996. It was 4 issues long. Alex Ross had just finished doing Marvels for Marvel Comics, and that was kind of their grand opus, magnum opus of art and storytelling with all the Marvel characters and a big story. Marvels was kind of them told through the eyes of the man on the street. You know, how would you and I see superheroes and supervillains if they existed in our world? And Alex Ross wanted to do something similar for DC Comics, but he didn't want to do the exact same thing again. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, this ended up being an Elseworld tale about a future where your major DC heroes have stepped back from the world stage, and the children and grandchildren of these heroes and villains have taken up the mantle and have kind of forgotten the great responsibility that comes with the great power part of the story. Mm-hmm. And the introduction was written by, first of all, it's dedicated to Christopher Reeve. You know, the dude that was Spider-Man.
Superman!
He was one of the Spider-Men with the capes from Krypton. You know the guy.
Wow.
Yeah, he was one of the Supermen in the 80s movies, right?
Yeah, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, and the introduction was done by Elias Magan, who did a story about, a very well-known story about Superman that I forget the name of. Must There Be a Superman? It's a well-known Superman tale. And wrote the intro to Kingdom Come.
Now, I usually skip these intros, but I did start... I almost always skip the author notes and the dedications and all that crap. I'm here for the story, not for the long... But I did...
Here's why this story be so good.
Yeah, I'm bored. You
don't need the hype. You don't need the hype train.
I'm bored, yeah. Let the story speak for itself. If you got to work this hard, maybe there's something wrong. But...
Yes.
I did start reading this one, and in the beginning, he's going on and on about believing in superheroes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it made me think of the part of American Gods that I love so much, where Shadow's talking to the Native American girl, Sam, and she's going, I can believe in things that are true and things that aren't true, and I believe in things that nobody knows if they're true or not. I believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Beatles and Marilyn Monroe and Elvis and Mr. Ed. It's just this whole part of that story, and it's one of my favorite.
It also brings to mind the Lewis Carroll line, I can believe in up to 6 impossible things before breakfast.
Yeah. It's just, it's got that same vibe of like, all of that, just I believe in everything and then nothing, and it works at the same time. Yeah. I love that vibe.
Yeah, Elliot is trying to, at least from my understanding of it, talk about how you believe in these heroes because you believe in the metaphors that they represent, the symbolism they represent, the lessons that they can teach us. Mm-hmm. Something so simple as, if you're a good person, good things will come your way. Now I believe in Santa Claus. Like that kind of... to, much more deeper, more difficult lessons that more complicated heroes and villains teach us. But there's a couple of little parts I want to read that I particularly liked from the intro. Overall, the intro was a little wordier than I needed. Sorry, Elliot, if you are a listener. But
again, I got like...
I could have shaved this down. I could have shaved this down to 4 paragraphs.
I got 3 paragraphs in. It made me think of a better thing, and then I left.
Yeah, never lead someone to a better thing than what you're trying to do. But I like this part. In the story that you hold in your hands, Mark Waid and Alex Ross tell us our proper response to the inexorable march of progress that has brought us to this place in time in the history of civilization. Not modestly, not unself-consciously, not with faith in a power greater than ours to descend from the sky and set things right despite our best efforts to screw it up. We have an obligation to know who we are and where we are and what we can do. We have an obligation to understand the ramifications of the things we do and to choose to do them or not with our eyes open. Whole lot of personal responsibility, but not in a, not in a creepy libertarian way. At least I did not get that impression.
No, that's a good line. It is a good line. I didn't get that far down.
It's fair. Again, as stated, very fair. And, the last little bit. So again, I like the beginning, I like the end, and all that in the middle I could do without it. In Kingdom Come, Mark and Alex draw a dichotomy between the human race and what we call the metahuman race, and the source of conflict throughout the story. And the story's synthesis is the realization that this distinction is false. Mm-hmm. As clearly as another hero, Mahatma Gandhi asserted that he is a Hindu as well as a Muslim, as well as a Christian, a Jew, and a Buddhist, if that becomes appropriate. So do we learn that the most ordinary among us are heroes, and the most colorful and vivid among us are quite ordinary and flawed. It's a conclusion to which our new bards lead us as eloquently and precisely as Socrates led us through the argument of the Pythagoras. Let's do a geometric proof.
Pythagoras?
Pythagoras, thank you. It's one of those words, you see it, and you forget how it's pronounced. If we were peek into the lives of the people of Earth and generations to come, surely we would think we were gazing upon Olympus. And of course, again, we would be wrong. They are only our children, our grandchildren, and our successors, who will surely stride the earth as titans in those days, wearing our own features and our own shortcomings. I like that. It's so freaking hopeful.
It is. It's very hopeful.
Yeah, because they talk earlier about how if someone from, ancient Greece would see us now, they would think we were gods. The way we can fly, the way we can have all the, way we have all knowledge at our fingertips. Like, they would see us as gods. It is hopeful that our grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, we can look ahead to them, and that they will be in a world where the things that are difficult to us now that they are no longer struggling with. I hope we get there and don't just melt due to our fuck up of the environment. This was written in 1997, so...
to be young.
Yes, to be... But yes, that is my fondest wish for our descendants.
Aww.
Yeah.
Look at you being all sweet.
I can every once in a blue moon. But yes, that leads us into Kingdom Come, which is where we're going. And every chapter, the cover art is just Alex Ross just drawing as many weirdos as he can and putting them on a cover. And I actually warned Cecilia, because me and Cecilia have often talked about, like, Cecilia gets character overload. And
I didn't even pretend.
And I told her before we started, I said, there's only like 8 important people in here.
Yeah.
And most of them you already know. You know Batman, you know Superman, you know Lex Luthor. You don't need them to be reintroduced.
No.
All the other weirdos, don't even worry about it. But if you wanted to, at the back of the book, it's very cool, they have all these huge sheets of like all the characters. And you actually have little numbers, and you can look down and be like, oh, that's Hawkman, who combines the spirit of the old with the otherworld flesh of the new. Oh, that's Lady Marvel, formerly May Marvel, caller of the power of Shazam. Every single person you can have information about if you are so inclined.
I was not inclined.
Joker's daughter to the son of Zatanna. Like, they're all hanging out in here. And, man, what a group of weirdos. But I like it. Because, once again, I like the Alex Ross art. Like, I would be fine if these were our patron saints and they were on the walls of our churches. I would be cool with that.
I would be cool with that part,
I'd be more likely to be Catholic, honestly. if they gave their saints cooler costumes and like superpowers, they've already got it almost. Cause,
yeah, they're almost there.
You're the patron saint of lost animals. You're the patron saint of battered women. You're the patron saint of disciples. Like, you've already got like a pantheon.
Yeah.
All you need is like a cool outfit to go with it, and I'm in. I'll be Catholic all day. We open up to the first page and we get a quote of Revelation, which means that everything in this world is probably going in a good direction. We also get an opening of a bat fighting a bald eagle holding a spear, which is a nice representation. You have the bat, of course, representing Batman, the American eagle representing superhero, and the spear representing Wonder Woman. Superman. Man, I'm going to do that a lot. I haven't yet called Alex Ross Alex Jones yet, though, so give me a credit for that. Anyway, it's showing the three of them in conflict.
Sir, that is defamation of character.
It really is. If you're listening, Ross, you deserve so much better. It's years of knowledge fight, and having listened to all 980 some episodes that they have that have done this to me. And if you're listening, Dan and Jordan, look what you did to me. But you see a man melting. You see an armies fighting with flames. You see black skies, raining blood, lightning. Pretty much your Revelation scenes.
Yeah, it's pretty standard pop.
Yeah, you know where this is going. This is Wesley Dodds, who was the original Sandman back in the day. We've discussed him many times because he gave rise to the Sandman that we all love from the Neil Gaiman universe.
I wrote down here, poor Wesley, and also the Sandman. He does not look like an emo young Alan Rickman a la Snape.
No, they changed him up a little this time. I guess age has not been kind to him. And he's talking to his preacher, whose name is Norman, and telling him that, like, you gave me so much. All I can give back to you is this prophecy. You need to take it seriously. I've been having the same dream every night. And Norman does not believe him, which it's always weird to me when people who are Christians and how they differentiate. Because you have so many miracles in the Bible, and yet when someone claims they've happened in real life, it seems like many Christians choose not to believe. Which I understand, because then you're not going to be taken in by swindlers. But also, if the book that is all true tells you that these things can happen, it's strange that when you see it in the real world, or when someone tells you about it in the real world, you're so much less inclined to believe it.
Well, I also think that not even preachers, not everyone takes the Bible super literal. Some people do speak in more metaphor, even if you believe in the stories, you don't have to believe that. Fundamentalism has ruined religion, I think, is what I'm trying to get at.
Much like constitutional. Oh, what is it when you
literalism?
Yeah, constitutional literalism has ruined law in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parallels can be drawn there.
Those pears fell from the same tree.
Yeah. It's a really rotten tree.
It's a really rotten tree.
You shouldn't eat anything from it. You'll get worms.
It's the tree of bad knowledge.
The worms will eat your brain.
And God said unto Eve, eat of all the trees, but not the tree of bad knowledge. Because that has pears. No one likes pears. No offense. Some people probably like pears.
They're okay.
Yeah, they're fine. They're just kind of a boring fruit.
I agree with you.
So he's talking to Norman, and there's a brief sight of, like, the doctors holding him down, and he sees them dressed up in his old Sandman uniform.
Nice.
Yeah. And
I was wondering why the plague doctors were there, but I just kept going.
Well, it worked in two things, because they do look exactly like plague doctors, but they're also wearing the outfit of the original Sandman.
Okay.
But you look out the Norman's window as he's reading from the Bible, and you can see it's a whole new world out there. There's just capes flying everywhere, and it's sort of a futuristic scape.
Yeah.
Doesn't look too bad yet. So it turns out that he passes away that very night. Norman is in his house, packing up some of his old things, talking about how him and his wife used to sit with Sandman and his wife. And 1 minute they would be talking about how, that age has passed, and, like, you should put those old memories away. And the next they'd be begging for another tale of daring do from those times. And you also see a newspaper that says UN enacts more metahuman censures, which will be quite funny. Next to it is a pie chart. Will censor curb metahuman violence. 91% said no, 7% said yes, and 2% said undecided. So humans have kind of lost control of their destiny here, because they're like, we're going to shut metahumans down, says the government, and no one believes it. Like, the metahumans are out of control, and they kind of make their own rules now. And we'll get more of that as Norman is walking down the street, and you're just seeing kind of destruction everywhere. And he goes to planet Krypton.
I wrote down planet Krypton. Why? Capitalism really leaves no survivors.
It's true. Folks, if you aren't reading along, imagine an Applebee's but DC Comics themed. And at first you're thinking, whoa, that's super cool. But then imagine that in a world where superheroes actually exist. Yeah, and it's...
None of them can sue for their likeness.
It is garish.
Oh, I did also write down that woman dressed as Wonder Woman in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Looks like this is a hostage situation. She does not look like she's pleased to be there.
The only person who looks happy to be there is the guy in the Green Lantern outfit. And that's because he thinks he looks really good in it.
Yeah. And, like, that Wonder Woman face, though, I don't know if it's just the hyper-realism.
Yeah, look at her and then look at the Flash. These are not happy people.
She just looks like she's being tortured. She looks like if she does not get this food to its table.
Kudos to Alex Ross for perfectly capturing an 8-hour waitress ship face. Because that is what he has done.
Yeah. She looks like she does not get this food to the table. Someone's going to torture her family and leave body parts lying around her house. Like, it's not good.
Facts. She is not a happy camper. You also get a very funny, in a glass case in the back is the Batman outfit from the 60s TV show.
Aww.
So just a little cute thing there. So he goes and gets a bite to eat. And then afterwards we get our first shot of our heroes, our superpowered folks.
You can't see the quotation marks.
Right, but they are there. Norman says, according to the word of God, the meek would someday inherit the earth. Someday. And then, like, you see a giant bus flying by his head. He says, but God never accounted for the mighty. And you see, like, 8 random super freaks battling it out and destroying property all over the place. And this is where you really get an idea of what the problem is now. The world Wesley left is filled not with his heroes, but with the children and grandchildren. Their numbers in the nameless thousands. Progeny of the past, inspired by the legends of those who came before, if not the mortals. They no longer fight for the right. They fight simply to fight their own foes, each other. So it's almost like they've formed, like, gangs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you ever
We got superhero, super...
Yeah, fighting
warriors.
over super turf.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Metropolis is our area. And Norman rescues a small child from a falling piece of rubble that the heroes just do not even notice. People are constantly in danger, and they do not.
Spider-Man would not have let this happen.
Spider-Man would not. Superman would not. Like, it's sad to see the superheroes have gone
I'm going to lodge my first complaint on that last page.
Sure. Let me flip on back.
Maybe it was that one. At any rate, I have a really hard time following the fight scenes in these things. I know I mentioned it last time we read one of Alex Ross's things, but this shit, I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah.
You might as well just draw a big kaboom for all of the information I managed to get off of that page. I don't know what happened there.
The fight happened. I mean, I couldn't.
I don't fucking know who's fighting who and who's doing what.
Yeah.
None of these characters have names, which is fine. They're not important. They all die.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't follow that.
No.
I hate that.
Yeah, the fights. Well, I think Alex Ross knew you were just going to flip by the fights anyway, so he's like, well, I don't need the continuity, really. Cecilia's not going to pay attention
it's just
regardless.
For me. Yeah. Okay.
He somehow knew in 1996 that you would come along. But it's very... So then we cut to him giving a sermon. And unfortunately, these nightmares that Sandman was having, that our boy Wesley Dodds was having, have been passed on to Norman. And it's making it very hard for him to give a reassuring sermon.
Yeah, he's a doom and gloom preacher.
He's dooming and glooming, and he stopped. But at least he realizes it. At least he doesn't go with it and just go, well, I'm a doom and gloom preacher now. He stops and he apologizes. I can't do this.
He's having a hard time remembering to be hopeful.
Yeah.
He makes a comment earlier that hope is hard to find in these times, and I'm like, for facts though.
Facts. Boy, that hasn't. Has that changed between 96 and 2023? I think not.
We're in 2024, buddy.
2024? Really? Are you sure? Double check it. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, okay. But say, I am double checking. I have been wrong
before. That's amazing that I made you double check what year
But
it was.
I was relatively sure.
I'm still writing 2023 on my checks, folks.
Checks? Who writes checks anymore?
I have to write one occasionally. There's like 2 people I still have to write checks to. Or 2 industries, more correctly. Then we have a very fun scene of him praying, trying to read the Bible, trying, and this is the first mention of Kansas.
Yeah, I wrote down what happened in Kansas.
Yes, his dreams are now mine, and they are visions of utter despondence. He wanted someone to act, but what can anyone do? Kansas proved it. Thanks to the superhumans, the end is near, and the word of God so very far. And at this point, we get what appears to be an angel, like a spirit, passing through the state. Like this is favorite panel.
Yeah.
It's with his eyes looking up, and you see someone passing through.
You see a Doctor Doom ripoff.
It's very Doctor Doom. Think pale, green cloak. And this man is here to judge.
Yep.
But, unfortunately, in his age, he can no longer judge alone. He has to anchor himself to a human. And he was supposed to anchor himself to Wesley Dodds, but he died. But the dreams
late judgment.
Yes, the dreams were passed to poor Norman. And now Norman has to do it, which just seems so unfair. Norman McKay, if you need a last name. He says, are you an angel? Of a sort. A higher power has charged me with the task of punishing those responsible for the coming evil. Long ago I would have judged swiftly, with clarity, but my faculties are not what they once were. In order to carry out my task, I must anchor myself to a human soul who seeks justice. And Norman says, but I don't. and
that ain't me, bitch.
The Spectre's like, you will. He's like, once I show you all you need to see here, I think you're going to change your mind. And this is where he explains that, well, it's supposed to be this Dodds fellow, a former superhero who has a little more skin in the game, but you've got the dreams and you seem to care about mankind, so guess what? You've been drafted.
Your friend left you with a charge. He
Yeah.
didn't tell you about it when he left it with you, but I've come to collect.
There's a real sad point where he says, I can't leave my congregation. They depend on me. They look to me for... And the Spectre says, for what? And it's just a silent panel of him like realizing that he is no longer good for his congregation. And he's like, very well.
You know what? I will give Norman some credit. He is able to recognize his deficits, which I feel like is not a thing you see a lot in these comics. Most of the time, the character you follow around is
He's
some gung ho.
so human.
Yeah,
he is a great. Like I liked his character, and I liked, like you said, I liked that he had shortcomings. He was aware of them, and he at no point seemed to have a hubris about this charge. Like, well, yeah, I am the right guy for this. Like, I should do this.
yeah.
Because that would have made him the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And
no,
hubris,
he is very...
And the fall of hubris is what a lot of this comic is about.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree.
And the first place they go is what appears to be Kansas.
Oh, yeah, I wrote down here, holy shit, they managed to make Superman hot.
Yeah, look at him. Little, Cecilia got a little gray thirst here. This is an older Superman.
They managed to make him hot.
He got himself a little beard. He's wearing some overalls without a shirt. He's got a ponytail.
Like, here's the thing. I like men with hair. It's a thing. It's been a thing since I was 7 years old, and I had my first crush on the White Power Ranger.
That man had some hair.
He did. It was so pretty. Jason David Frank, rest in peace.
So they come down, and there's a man with overalls but no shirt working on the roof. A little eye candy for Cecilia.
Gray overalls for all my girlies out there.
Yeah. And Norman says, the farmer, he looks familiar. The Spectre says he should, though he is not of this world. He came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. You know him by a name he has not used in 10 years. And even Norman whispers the name Superman. He's like, oh, well, what's he doing here? And where is here? Because I know that the Midwest, he's very surprised they're in the Midwest because, well, we'll find out why later, but it shouldn't be. And he's like, he looks so alone and lonely. And I'm going to call this guy a specter, a spirit, an angel. He is all these things. Judge. But he says, not always. And we also see a graying Wonder Woman showing up.
Yep,
still looking fine on the vine. And
she's always very pretty.
She's always been very pretty. That's part of the Amazons of Myth, right? Beautiful warriors. Mm-hmm. They had the looks and the brawn. And Clark's talking. They're having a little chat. He's like, oh, I hadn't seen you in a while. What are you doing here? And she basically says, wishing that you weren't here. Wishing I would come here and find you gone.
Yeah. Came to check on you, hoping I wouldn't find you.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
As I have been for the past decade.
Yeah, exactly. And I like her character in comparison to... It makes sense in comparison to Clark. Because Clark has put himself in exile... because of two things. The loss of, as he calls them, the humans that he was close to.
He's got to create some distance.
Yes, which Wonder Woman takes quite offense of. And you've lost so much since I first met you. Earthlings die, you know. They were your parents, Cal. Yeah, he doesn't go by Clark anymore. He's gone back to Kal-El, his space name.
We're creating distance between us and the pain.
And she was your wife. Don't call them Earthlings. And we get the first mention of Magog.
So I wrote down here, so Magog is the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Magog is part of the problem. But we'll find out there's tons of problems. Not the least of which the death of his parents and wife. And he's like, oh, I got stuff to do on the farm. And she's like, really? And she slaps the wall. And you find out that this is all simulation. Like,
he may be calling them the Earthlings, but he's built his own Kansas.
Yes. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, you obviously don't miss Earth. You remade your parents' farm, exactly, so whatever.
Yeah, the Earthlings. Yes. Yeah, that's you over here in your exiled fake farm, and probably, I'm going to guess, the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah.
So, you're doing a lot of work.
It's true.
To have a thing that's gone now.
And you are correct. It is the Fortress of Solitude. I had to flip a few pages because I didn't remember where this fake farm was.
Yeah. The Fortress of Solitude, which is in Antarctica or some shit.
Yeah.
You made a farm on the other side of the planet in the frozen snow.
Yeah.
But no, you're fine. They're the Earthlings. You're clearly coping well.
Surprised you haven't changed the name to the Fortress of Coping really well yet.
I'm surprised there aren't any scarecrows with suspicious outfits on, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, some with uncomfortable kiss marks on them. Like, that's my little Lois.
See the suit?
Yes, he's in the Fortress of Solitude, and Wonder Woman eventually convinces him to see what's going on in the real world. She's like, you've been gone for 10 years, things have gotten a lot worse. And he turns on all the news. Like, he walks into a room and, there's 300 TV sets. He turns on all the news.
Batman was here.
Yeah, exactly. I know who built this for you. It's showing that, they blew up Kansas like they do.
They split open a guy called Captain Atom.
Yeah, the parasite who split open Captain Atom. Or someone shot through Captain Atom while Parasite was absorbing his abilities. Something happened. But basically you had two atom bombs go off in the middle. 2 nuclear bombs go off in the middle of the United States.
Yep.
And the results were, over 1 million dead. The spread of the nuclear blight resulted in the loss of America's breadbasket. The sterilizations of its agrarian culture has thrown world economies into near collapse in the face of global famine, rendering the entire state of Kansas was rendered unlivable, as well as parts of Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri. They're all an irradiated wasteland now.
So it's a really good thing that Cal's a farmer now.
Yeah, I know where you should start farming. That radiation won't bother you. And think how big your corn will grow.
Well, I mean, he's just growing stuff out here in his Fortress of Solitude thing, so...
Yeah.
You can ship some of that to the breadbasket.
Yeah. And so Wonder Woman's like, so you seen enough? You gonna come back now? And he's like, no. Go back to your island, Diana. You'll be safe there. There's nothing I can do from here. She's like, yeah, that's the point. That's why I want you to... But she leaves extremely frustrated, as you can imagine.
So I wrote down here, I don't know if it's just because I'm an anarchist or because I've never really been one much for teams, but the fact that Wonder Woman just wandered into Cal's fortress...
Yeah.
I wrote down Carl. Cal's fortress farm and disturbed him to try to drag him back into the world after some assholes nuked Kansas.
Seems cruel and unnecessary.
And for what?
Superman can't absorb radiation. Like, this is not a problem that he can just fix by himself. Like, you can't just
I have to assume she wants to stop Magog from doing Kansas's again. Like,
well, if it was Captain Atom, I'm assuming he's done now. So, like, that problem won't repeat itself. But it just seems unnecessary to go disturb Kal.
Yeah.
When, in all honesty, I know that he's like the leader, and I'm not,
and an inspiration to the rest of them. Like,
I don't put much stock in that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, a symbol, you can admit a symbol can be a powerful thing. And the Superman symbol used to be the symbol in this universe. And so she's trying to pull that out of retirement. And I don't know, I said it was to stop Magog from doing more harm. Because if he's done it once, his careless way of using his power could do it again. Well, but it might be more to restore faith in the people.
I don't know. I do feel like sometimes it's okay to say enough is enough.
Yeah.
I feel like Kal is given enough. Like, he's lost enough. Yeah. If he wants to be left alone, you should leave him alone.
Well, it's true. But I also don't think what he's doing is healthy.
I'm not saying that it is. I'm not saying that it is.
You might want to try and pull him out, and maybe she's come before. Maybe this is just her newest attempt to pull him out.
That could be. We haven't seen all the other...
Yeah, like, you know, if, like, a person is suffering, sometimes you can pull them out by having a problem and asking them to help you solve it, even if it's not a real problem. Like, you can pull somebody out of a depression that way. You can get them moving. And that might be what she's trying to do. I think she's trying to bring... Because she is supposed to be the emissary of peace for the Isle of the Amazons. And I think she feels like she has failed in that mission.
Well,
and you will find out later that she is not alone in the feeling that she has failed in that mission.
Yeah, I feel like by the end of it, she's definitely failed in that mission. But that's just me.
Yeah, right. I think if Armageddon happens on your watch, you might have failed in your mission. But
she's supposed to be bringing peace.
Yeah, so...
Although I guess a planet empty of life would be pretty peaceful.
It's about as peaceful as you get. But the Amazons won't be there to give you your flowers, so... And also there won't be any flowers to give. So, she mentions the others. And Norman asks, who are the others? Like, what are you talking about? And this is when we get to find out what happened to the rest of the JLA. The Justice League of America. What have they been up to?
Yeah.
Some of them been up to some fun stuff. The Flash is in Keystone City, and he is constantly on the move. And his city is very safe because he is just everywhere all at once because he's that fast. But it's a sad, lonely existence.
So I know that they established in other ones. Yeah. How does this account for the fact that he needs to eat and that this burns a lot of calories and...
In this universe, they do not address it. And I don't know if it's not an issue or if you're that fast you can just grab hot dogs from gas stations as you're running around the city.
Yeah, I was just...
Leaving $1 on the table as you fly around.
I did have questions because it doesn't say anything about the fact that he would need... I would assume...
A lot of calories to be moving that often? Well, this is something I found really interesting. I think this Flash is way faster than the Flash of the regular DC universe because it says he lives between the ticks of a second. And that almost makes me wonder that, if a second feels like 8 hours to you, could you, in theory, sleep for a second, wake up, and then continue your run? Ergo, you are basically always on patrol because time moves so slowly for you that you could stop and have a 10-course dinner, take an 8-hour nap, and wake up and only a second and a half have gone by. And then you're back to patrol.
I guess.
I could be reading too much into the line. He lives between the ticks of a second.
Well, yeah, and maybe this one doesn't need the calories or whatever, but it was a thing that I read it and I'm like, yeah, that's sad. I don't like that. But also, just logistically, how does that work?
It's a fair question. Then we get Hawkman, who has become an eco-terrorist, which I love.
There's something in me that always appreciates, and I'm not advocating for violence legally, that always appreciates the people who are willing to do that. It's the same reason why I'm on Poison Ivy's side. If she wants to run around and kill CEOs of businesses dropping sludge into rivers, I see nothing wrong with her. Like, she's fine. I'm on her team.
We could see the destruction that he left in his wake. And it doesn't look like he's killed anybody, but he set fire to their temporary shelters. He flipped over their foresting equipment. Yeah, like he's just making it so they can't do their job.
Yeah,
it's the same as cutting a fuel line on a forklift. Like, yeah, if you want to do that you could.
Here's the thing. Yeah, it's the same. I feel the same way about like the people in real life who do that shit. Yeah. If you stop a logging truck from getting its logs, if you destroy the truck and you kill no one, I'm 100% on your side. Yes. Like, who cares? It's a truck.
Well, in the same way, it's like if you're protesting cops shooting minorities, I'm okay with you throwing a chair through a Starbucks window. Like, I don't, like, I'm fucking fine with that. I'm okay with you
setting fire to the cop's truck. Like,
they're insured.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Exactly. They have that budget. You might as well make them fucking use it.
Yes. But it seems like all the Justice League have been isolated. Up in the sky, you've got the Green Lantern, who is keeping the world safe from threats from space, which is a noble pursuit. But also, he's built a very cool house. Basically, think of the Emerald City from Wizard of Oz, but floating in space. And people were saying, Alex Ross writes that it twinkles in the night sky like a verdant star. And I'm like, it would be so cool to have a bright green star in the sky. That would be cool, especially if when you looked at it, you knew there was someone up there living in that star, protecting you from aliens. That'd be wonderful.
Is this the same Hal Jordan who is trapped in his ring and afraid of being all alone?
This Green Lantern is still Hal Jordan, yes.
So this is not nice for him either.
He will never live anything but alone, apparently.
My man has issues.
Yes. And then they talk about the Isle of the Amazons and Atlantis, and basically say that they've kind of become insular.
Weren't they always kind of insular?
They've pulled out. Well, Aquaman used to be a member of the Justice League, so he would come to the surface and help out the surface on occasion. The Amazons would occasionally help out Wonder Woman on her missions and help the JLA out when Ares was running amok or whatever. Well, but now they have become completely insular. Most
of my knowledge from Wonder Woman comes from the movie. Yeah. So in the movie, they were very much like, we don't go out there, you don't go out there.
Think of them as the end of the first Black Panther movie, Wakanda, and not the beginning of the first Black Panther movie, Wakanda, if that helps at all. Yeah. And then, this is one of my favorite parts, Norman says, and what of those who weren't gods? I seem to remember another one who made his home in Gotham City. What has become of the Batman? And the Spectre's like, Batman. And then you just have a couple of quiet page panels of like bat robots terrorizing some crooks. And Norman is watching this, and Spectre just says, Batman has his city under control.
Batman really went off the deep end, huh?
Yeah, Batman went nuttier than... Well, they all went a little nutty because they're all become these islands unto themselves. Like, they don't seem to communicate with each other anymore. They all are living these very lonely lives. Even if you look at the nations, like, Aquaman is only concerned and only deals with Atlantis now. Like, that insular, inward looking that all of the heroes have done since Superman left the scene. It's kind of a bummer.
They really need someone else who can manage communication. Is this at what point one point Norman says he's finding hope hard to find in this situation again?
Yeah.
And the angel...
Well, here he yells, we need hope. Yeah. When we get to there's a bridge. They then go to the Golden Gate Bridge, and two armies are fighting on it. Two groups of crazy super heroes, super people, I can't even call them heroes, are fighting. And like a transit tram that goes along the bottom has broken off and is falling into the ocean. And this is when Norman is saying, don't you understand? If any of us are to survive, any of it, now more than ever, we need hope.
And the angels over here, like, at no point did I promise you hope. Bitch, you really got to watch the contract fine prints, Norman.
Yeah,
like, you can't just, like, go into something.
Yeah, it's the page before. He said, that's all? That's what you've shown me? That disturbs you? Yes, you're an angel. That makes you a messenger of hope. At no time did I promise you hope. Yeah, that's great.
You got to read that fine print, Norman.
Yeah.
You can't be signing on.
Again, all props to Norman. He gets in his face about it. He's like, no, you are a servant of a higher power. The existence of a higher power is itself proof of hope. You better drop some hope on me, like right
Give
now.
me something good, bitch.
Yeah. Tell
How
me
dare you?
Good.
How dare you drag me out?
Right at that moment, the man shows up.
Yeah.
This tram that was just getting ready to fall into the ocean and kill everybody aboard is now lifted back up and set back on the boat. And people, they say even before the bystanders freed themselves from the cable car, they knew it. We all did. We knew and we remembered. Look, up in the sky. And then you get a full panel shot of our boy Superman.
They made Superman unhot again. Boo.
They took his overalls off.
He cut his hair.
He
cut his hair.
He
And he
did.
doesn't have beard anymore.
He did. He shaved for this occasion.
Ew.
How you shaved
Why?
as a Kryptonian, I have no idea. But that's the end of issue 1. But the last thing we see is Norman realizing that Superman's return does not stop Doomsday. It is one of the catalysts of Doomsday. And thus ends chapter 1 with that little very unfortunate information.
Yep.
Yes. So we open back up.
Chapter 2.
Yep, and they are in the middle of kind of a weird fog. I guess this is what they travel through when they're moving from place to place in time. Like, where have you taken me? I no longer have any sense of time or place. Spectre. Time has little meaning where we walk, Norman McKay. We move freely from moment to moment. Guided by your visions, I show you the ones that you must see. You're disorientated? And I was like, yes, Cecilia, is all this moving around disorientating you?
I didn't even pretend to keep track of where they were.
Enormously. I wasn't really asleep, and yet I was dreaming again. And so now we cut to, I don't know, Donald Trump, if he was a superhero.
So
The Americommando.
Yeah, we open up.
Yes.
I wrote this down. We open up. We start this chapter out with an immigrant-hating, super-powered asshole called Americommando.
And his Minutemen.
Can you be more on the nose?
And his Minutemen. Come on, that's the name of the guys that got arrested on the border for fucking doing horrible things to people trying to get into this country. This was in 1997.
It is so cool.
If you want proof we haven't quite solved it yet,
this
is
cool.
that proof.
It is so cool how nothing has changed in
Right?
the last 30 years.
Yes.
I love that for us.
But
Can I die now?
soon, I promise. Way things are going, you won't wait long. But again, makes me, when things age well, I'm very happy. Alex Ross on the right side of history here. The Americommandos and the Minutemen, who are, by the way, attacking people from the crown of the Statue of Liberty.
We just beating you up the head with
Yeah.
symbolism here.
Which has Lobo was here spray painted on it. I'm like, a little Lobo drive fight. That's weird. And then another group shows up. Another group of Americans show up to attack them. So now you have two groups fighting each other. And as they're fighting, innocent bystanders at the base are things are falling and, they're getting ready to get hurt. There aren't heroes, they're madmen. They're ready to battle over territory without bothering to care who's caught between them. Someone should do something, Norman cries. And the Inspector says, indeed. And we get a full shot of the reunited Justice League, or the almost reunited Justice League.
Yeah.
We see the Flash, Green Lantern, Miss Marvel, Superman, Wonder Woman, Hawkeye, and I believe that's the Ray in the background. Dr. Midnight's also in the group. We'll see him in a minute. But these guys have united, and they start, beating ass, like you'd expect. And it is working. People are getting hopeful. They're like, oh, this is great. The battle is over relatively simply because they're, this is the JLA, man. You're not going to beat the JLA with someone's grandkids who've been fucking fighting for 20 minutes.
On the Statue of Liberty.
And call yourself the Americommandos? Come on.
Ugh.
You're not going to win this.
I cannot.
Yeah. But they end up going to the UN building.
If Alex Jones had a superhero name.
The Americommandos. Surprised that's not the name of, someone's group. Steven Crowder's got the Mug Club. The Americommandos is a much better name.
Really
not that I want to give Steven Crowder any advice. Except be nicer to your next wife.
I was going to say, be nicer to your wife. Yeah.
But other than that, yeah.
Also, you're not funny. Stop trying that.
You are the least... You're the least funny man. So, Superman arrives, and someone says, everybody shut up, will you? When this guy talks, we listen. Superman says, good afternoon. Many of you may remember us. We have been away for a while. That was our mistake. In our absence, a new breed of metahuman has arisen, a vast phalanx of self-styled heroes unwilling to preserve life or defend the defenseless. Mm-hmm. A legion of vigilantes who have perverted their great powers, who have forsworn the responsibility due them. We have returned to teach them the meaning of truth and justice. We will make things right again. Together we will guide this new breed with wisdom, and if necessary, with force. Above all, we will restore order. So, people start asking questions, for instance, about Magog. And Superman does not answer. Wonder Woman has to step in and answer that one.
So I did write down here that Superman's UN speech is cute and all, and bring him back to heal. But the underlying problem is still the same. At some point, these old guys are going to die.
Yeah.
Superman is not immortal.
Yeah. Well, I think he's realizing that now. He's like, we should have taught the new generation, not just let them fucking go out there and do their thing, because that ended badly. Mind you, this will also end badly, but at least he's got a new idea, thanks to Wonder Woman. Without her, he'd still be fucking off in Kansas.
Fucking off in Kansas.
He'd be fucking off in his version. The Fortress of Kansas,
The Fortress of Kansas.
Fortress of Kansas, dude. Yes. And Norman's asking who else is going to join this cadre. And then we get to Wayne Manor. And Superman comes down to recruit the last member of the Justice League, our old pal Batman. And boy, Batman is a dick.
I wrote, so he's trying to recruit Bruce, who, like every asshole uncle who won't call a trans kid by their new name, he keeps dead naming Carl.
Yeah. Wants to call him Clark again.
Clark.
And also says, you know all about Heidi. All right. Yes, I left for a while. I get it.
Here's the thing. Batman's acting like a jilted lover. Like, you left me alone, and now you're coming crawling back, and you're a bitch, and I want to help you.
Yeah, it's...
My boyfriend broke up with me.
I understand his reasoning of, this is going to take a subtle hand, and Superman does not do subtlety, but... There's another way to go. You'd be like, okay, you're going to be the loud voice, and we're going to be working quietly in the background. We can coordinate our efforts. But no, that's not, no. Batman's ego in these years has, it's only gotten bigger. And the hubris, I like this, though, because it shows that the hubris, like Lex Luthor would have you believe that all this hubris is because superhumans thought they were better than us and could save us from ourselves, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's egos in general. It's not superhuman egos. It's just egos. Yeah. Lex Luthor, your ego is just as bad for the world as Superman's. And obviously much, much worse because you're a monster and he's a hero, at least in most cases.
Yeah.
But Bruce is showing the human side of hubris is, going to lead to the same bad conclusions. I do like that because he's an old man now. He's in this crazy, suit to keep him mobile. He's got this crazy futuristic, it looks like a body cast, but it's over his whole body. And I don't know, I like that. I also like this line. He's talking about how Blackgate and Arkham both got blown up. And he's like, I didn't want those people to die, but it sure made my life easier. And tell me the thought of it doesn't give your invulnerable skin a little tingle. And Superman says, I don't have that dark of a side. Bruce says, tell that to your tailor. Because his S has black in it instead of yellow now. I assume that's like wearing a black armband when someone you love dies. I thought that was in honor of Lois and his parents, but Batman seems to think he's trying to look
Batman's just being a bitch.
Yeah, Batman's being an asshole. And they talk about Gotham. And Batman's like, see, I got Gotham completely under control. And Clark is like, I'm sorry, Kal-El. Is like, yeah, you do. You turned it into a police state. People are scared to death in your city. And he's like, yeah, but they're going to fear me more than they'll trust you because I stuck around. And you disappeared for 10 years. And I was like, I can't argue with you there.
You got a point.
So Superman tries to get him to join. And this is when Batman says it's going to take a deft hand, not the punch everything that moves approach of the Justice League. You go do your thing, I'll do mine. Get out of my cave. And we find out that he's got some team with him.
The makeup didn't go as well as one would hope.
No, and it's kind of sad because those used to be great. But we find out that he's already got his allies, humans, as it were. Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow, Diana Lance, the Black Canary. She cut her hair short. Good on her. I like it. and Ted Kord, who was the first Blue Beetle, way back when. So the three of those are super scared because they're just like, oh my god, that was fucking Superman. We are not going up against him, are we? And Bruce is like, of course we fucking are. I'm going to fight
Have
everybody.
you met me?
Yeah.
I have no chill.
Yeah. I got an army all over the world. Let's call them in. And I'm like, wait, is that the plan? Okay, Bruce. And Norman asked the question we're all asking. Were they ever friends? Superman and Batman? The way they bicker, it's hard to tell. Spectre says, great minds do not always think alike. In their day, they were the truest representations of their kind. One, the zenith of human fortitude and ambition. The other, the pinnacle of otherworldly power. An accident of birth for most of us. Superman's life has us walking among us as a human, as well as above them. He remained tethered to human concerns, although the love of an unearthly woman until her life was stolen. And Wonder Woman? Like Superman, a paradox. Eternal princess of the Amazon, she is both an ambassador of peace and a master of warfare. Of all Superman's lieutenants, it's she who bears watching most closely. And first few weeks, things seem to be going well. They're getting more recruits than they are having problems. They're turning villains into allies. You get a shot of them fighting some guys, and in the next scene, those same people they were fighting are flying with them. Mm-hmm. So, at least here at the beginning, things seem to be going well. And Diana starts beating up a dude who looks like the Sistine Chapel. He's like a chapel with arms. I don't know. I have no idea what's happening there.
Here's the thing. The longer we have these mutants, which is what they are, mm-hmm. They're mutants.
Yeah. Some of them very mutiny. Yeah.
The more ridiculous the powers get. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like Pokemon. At some point, you've got a trash bag.
You run out of ideas.
Yeah. At some point, you've got a trash bag that somehow
that evolves into a dumpster.
Yeah.
That evolves into a dumpster fire.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm just guessing. Haven't kept up
I
with
don't
Pokemon in a
actually
while.
know what the trash bag evolves into, but
fair.
There is a trash bag Pokemon, and I when I caught it, I just stared at it for a minute in sadness.
But you may continue.
Yeah. Wonder Woman hits the Sistine Chapel too hard and goes flying through a building, and Clark tries to simmer her down. He's like, hey, they're not evil, they're just misguided. And she's
a little bloodthirsty.
She's a little bloodthirsty. That Amazon blood running a little hot right here. Now we're going to cut to the Human Alliance. There's a group of humans also out to make things better, and they are the worst humans.
Is this page 81?
This is page 81.
I said, what the hell is that gobbledygook that Luthor is saying? And also, why did they crib his design from Kingpin?
He got older, and as someone who also has gotten older, metabolism slows down a little bit. You put on a little weight. Lex Luthor has put on a little weight.
What happened is...
He looks like Mr. Green from the old Clue game, if you ever played that.
He looks like Kingpin, but somehow less attractive.
He's not quite as wide. Like, when people picture Kingpin, they make... And there's no muscle on Lex, I would argue. I don't think...
he also took the Superman breakup real bad.
Oh, God. Worse than Batman, if you can believe it. But both the Norman and his guide, this Spectre Angel fella, both are... They feel evil in the air. Like it's in their nostrils. Alex and Mark do a good job of describing how gross it is to be in the presence of these people. Worst of the worst. Sure enough, you have the person who inherited Ra's al Ghul's dynasty, so the League of Shadows, and their heart, known as Lord Naga. You have Vandal Savage, the 400-year-old or thousands of year old caveman who just got lucky enough to find a rock, and now he thinks he's better than everyone else.
He picked up a shiny stone like every 12-year-old girl, and it worked out for him.
Yeah. It made him twinkly. And then we have Selena Kyle and the Riddler shipped again.
Yep.
You know, they're up here.
Batman also had a breakup.
Yeah. Although Riddler seems to be taking it very well. He's like, I ended up with Selena Kyle. I hope that guy never comes back. My life got very nice. So, yeah, these guys are all in here, and they're talking about how to get rid of all the super metas forever. But their plans start with denying resources to the people who are suffering from the nuclear fallout in the Midwest. So, it's this fucking idea, and let me just say, not sure I've bitched about it in at least 2 episodes, but this fucking idea of accelerationalists. Oh my God. Like, I hate it so much. Like, this idea that if we just make the world burn quicker, somehow that will lead us to the bright tomorrow. I'm not saying there might not be a war one day, but I'm saying it's crazy to just make things worse and worse and hope that that's what spurs people. Because I'm here to tell you, things have been getting worse for a while now, and it just makes me more tired. It does not fucking spur me to revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that's a fair point.
But Lex Luthor, who's just a font of horrible ideas, is like, oh, we'll just make things worse and worse. Humanity will rise up and fucking it'll be great.
And see, the thing is, with people like Lex, though, he's right either way.
Yeah.
Because either people rise up and he gets what he wants, or those people die and he just considers them trash that weren't worth trouble
he has nothing
anyway.
To lose.
Yeah, his mindset is reinforced regardless. Some people cannot be changed.
Yeah.
We'll get into it a little bit, I think, later. I don't know if it's in this chapter or not. We might have to get into it next episode, but
yes.
It is a thing that I've got issues with some of the all or nothing thinking.
I think you should. I think the all or nothing thinking is another thing this comic seems to be pushing on pretty hard.
Yeah.
Because there ends up being like 4 different factions here. There's the business humanity faction led by Lex Luthor. There's the underground faction, underground terrorism faction, I guess, led by Batman. There's the authoritative faction led by Superman and Wonder Woman. And then there's the government led by the governments, like all the UN. Yeah. And they all have this all or nothing philosophy. Like, there's this one way that'll work and we'll do it. And it ends up in horrible things, which we'll get to in our second episode. I will say this, though, just a quick shout out to Alex Ross, because I cannot stop shouting him out. Riddler's glasses are like question marks. And it's such a small detail, but kudos to you, my man.
I wrote down here, I know Captain Marvel isn't working for Luthor.
Yeah.
That made me mad.
Yeah, I'm glad you recognized him right off the bat, though. Good on you, because he's just another white dude with black hair. I thought you might have got confused.
Those. There's so many of those.
Yes, but yeah, there's a scene where Lex Luthor is getting shaved by someone, and someone's like, aren't you even worried about Superman? And this is where we see how much Lex has been hurt. He's like, he will not touch me. He will not. He. You know what? He cannot, in fact. I've got the most marvelous anti-Superman plan. Isn't that right, boy? And the person who is shaving him says, absolutely, Mr. Luthor. Norman says, who is that? Spectre says, the captain of the lightning and the thunder. Come, we have spent too much time wallowing in sin. Like, get me the fuck out of here.
Even the Spectre, who can't judge completely properly on his own is like, this feels gross.
Yeah, notice these aren't the people you need to judge. I've already judged them.
This is not cool.
They're
We're not hanging out
here. The only one who shows any bit of humanity is, oddly enough, the Riddler, who says, where does the mankind liberation part come in? Did I miss something?
I'm actually reading the contract.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing some problems. We got some problems.
All this humanity, there's a lot of hurt and humanity in here. Lexa says, no pain, no gain. Our objective is to heighten the tension between humans and Medicare. So bring it to a head so that humans have no choice but to reclaim the reins of world power.
I do want to add.
If it's something mean towards Lex, please add. Add twice.
I want to add that there's something beautiful in the consistency of no matter which piece of media has Lex in it, they do their best to make him an absolutely smarmy, unlikable asshole all of the time. And it works on me all of the time. Out of all of the bad guys that we have read about, I hate him the most.
Yeah.
It's very much so that, like, to bring it back to Harry Potter, something I can speak more into. Mm-hmm. It's the reason why in the fandom Dolores Umbridge is hated more than Voldemort.
Oh.
Like, Voldemort isn't like a super-powered, unbelievable villain character. Mm-hmm. Dolores Umbridge is every stupid bitch who won't let you use a coupon because she doesn't like it.
It's the Karen.
It's just,
Karen magnified by 100.
Yes. And Luthor is the same.
Yeah.
I hate him so much.
You hate him because he's so real.
He's
too real, man.
It's Elon Musk, inevitably, in 10 years. It's just, I hate him. I hate him so much. Every time something happens, I want him to die. 2 parts Elon, 1 part the one Koch brother that's not dead, and 1 part whoever the current CEO of Walmart is, like, mushed together. And made into this perfect storm of assholes. He is the worst.
Yes.
I do not like him. I can't wait. He never dies. Why does he never die?
Yeah. Yeah, you should kill him. So we cut to like
make me feel better.
A bar. You kind of get this is kind of just where metas hang out kind of place. You see a couple of little one shots. You see a dude that's dressed like Lobo, may or may not be Lobo. Guy that looks like the weather wizard behind the counter. The creeper is here. The human bomb, possibly Firefly. Like Captain Cold definitely is here. So, just a lot of, if you are into deep cut DC, they're here. Still alive and kicking. Mm-hmm. Superman comes in and immediately blows up the bar. Mm-hmm. I'm like, this is not going to make friends, buddy.
Yeah, I wrote down here, so Supes comes in, shows up to the rave, destroys all the drinks, and then demands that they become heroes. Yep. I don't know why people are acting like that's a winning pitch.
I mean, some are, though. Like, some are like, one person, this is the best argument I heard for it. I feel like I was just asked to become the 13th disciple. What do you think? Like, that is the high regard that Superman, in this world of heroes, Superman is the hero. In the same way that if Elon Musk got on Twitter, and said tomorrow, like, everybody come to fucking Twitter Tower, wherever the fuck that is, the X building, and fucking try out, and the best 12 of you I'm gonna pick to be my proteges, and you'll learn under me. How many people would be on his door the next day? Too fucking many is the short answer. But imagine if there was someone who was not a piece of shit that was doing that, a la Superman.
Yeah.
Some of these people are going to sign on. But some are like, nah, fuck that guy, I'm not into it. And then an arrow flies into the bar that Superman already destroyed. And we get Oliver Queen, a.k.a. Green Arrow, saying, so you heard Big Blue's pitch. Now for the Democratic response. So I like that Green Arrow's following Superman around, and as soon as he leaves, he's coming in and giving, like, while the room's still quiet, he's going in and giving the Batman side. I thought that was a little sweet bit of
Here's the thing. I do understand. I understand what they're saying. You have superpowers. You have a responsibility.
Yes.
Even less, I think that's a thing that all people need to realize is that
we all have some power.
We all have some power, and we all have some responsibility. Yes. It's just a thing that happens. You exist. You have responsibilities. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it sucks, but
it don't make it easier.
But But
being good's never the easy road.
Why can't they have their drinks? Why do you have to come in with this, like, I guess it's the authoritarianism of it all, but like to come in with this, like, this is the way we're doing it. Yeah. You get no say.
You have one
ship
choice.
Up or shape up or ship out. Like, you got, that's it. Those are the only two roads you may walk.
Yeah.
You will go to our hyper prison or you will get in line. Yeah. I don't like that shit.
You know who else doesn't? Every other country in the world. Because on page 89, we find that this route, which is working out pretty good in America, because Superman is America's superhero.
Yeah.
America heals, but America is not the world. Stronger in number, the League begins to confront anarchy on a global scale. Most metahumans fall into line in the mere sight of the man from Krypton. As on their home territory, Superman's army begins to meet success with infrequency. Many do not. Clearly, each rebellion further frustrates him. Social government was never Superman's arena. Is it possible that the constant pressure thrust upon him as an emerging world leader could bend even a man of steel to the breaking point? This feels like a great metaphor for American meddling. Like, as soon as he goes to other countries and starts trying to tell their metahumans how to be, the resistance gets ratcheted up to an 11. Yeah. It's almost the same as, like, I can talk mean about my sister, but if you talk mean about my sister, I'm going to kick your ass.
It's the same thing. Yeah, no, I understand that completely. I can be an asshole to my brother. Mm-hmm. I don't know what makes you think you've earned the right to be an asshole to my brother. I do understand that. But it's also, since this whole thing is relying so heavily on the symbolism, symbols don't mean the same thing everywhere.
Also true, yeah.
And so when you take Superman, who is an American symbol of justice and
truth, justice, and the what way?
Yeah. But you put him somewhere else, that don't mean the same shit no more. Right. That doesn't...
Because like it or not, even if Superman does mean well, he's got that American flag on his chest. I mean, it's an S, but it means the same thing. Yeah. And whatever America has done to that country, he is a representation of that when he comes. And that may not be good, because I imagine even in this 1996 alternate future that Alex Ross wrote, America has occasionally overstepped their bounds in other countries. It's just a good guess. And Superman is the spokesperson for that. So when he comes in and tells another country, here's how you're going to do things, I can't imagine a scenario where there's not pushback. America keeps trying, but I can't imagine a scenario where another country would be like, please come tell us, we're little babies and we need your help. We don't know how to do nothing.
We just got here by accident. Yeah. We were only 2 days old. Nobody here.
Please lead us, beacon on the hill. You are the light. Do not hide yourself under a bushel, America.
It isn't surprising that there is pushback. And again, it
is to Superman, though, which is he's such a Boy Scout, and he's such an idealist. He is surprised by how hard it is, which is very funny to me.
It is funny, I'm not real, I don't know, I guess I'm not real big on the symbol of Superman, so I am super unsurprised. I'm one of those dudes in the background going, I'm not feeling this, mate. Where's the third row? Is there a third row?
I'm going to listen to the Democratic response from the dude with the arrows.
Yeah. I'm going to listen to the person who didn't dump all my wine out a second ago. Yeah. Fuck you.
Yeah, right. I haven't even bought it yet. I'm sober. Do you know how much it sucks to be in a place like this and be sober? Like 100% sucks. So Wonder Woman's like, hey, I have an idea. And those two are not communicating anymore because their ideologies are parting. Mm-hmm. And so they're not communicating, and it's sad. But Wonder Woman's like, oh, let's go to Atlantis. Talk to our pal Arthur.
Yep.
And they do. But when Wonder Woman presents the plan, Superman is blindsided because he did not know this is where they were going. Wonder Woman wants to build a gulag.
She wants to lock up those that won't join. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that bit coming.
Mm-hmm. Superman did not see that bit coming, though. And Arthur's like, oh, man, I do love when the surface world burdens us with their garbage, but no thank you. Which
never been more relatable, Aquaman.
Yeah. Hats off to Aquaman here.
2 things. One, he's like, I'm not doing this anymore anyways. I've got a protege who's in charge,
there doing
taking care of
dumb stuff with you guys.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
See how that's not my job anymore? I then gave my responsibilities. I'm going to sit at home and be a good husband and take care of my kid and my wife.
And it's not like he's saying I'm going to do nothing. He's saying I'm going to protect the other 70% of the earth that's underwater. You have no idea what that's like.
No, they don't.
And
they really don't.
And this is where Wonder Woman also reveals that her Amazonian sisters decree that she had failed her mission as an ambassador. She has not made the world a better place. And they stripped her of her royalty and of her heritage. And she is no longer welcome on Paradise Island. And Aquaman's like, hey, from one royal to another, that sucks, but doesn't
not
change
my
my
problem,
answer.
Bitch.
Yeah. Hey, if you need a room, I got a room. I got
you can hang out down here.
You can stay here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you can't go home again. That blows. But I'm not going to let you build a prison in my backyard.
No.
Not my backyard.
Yeah. Literally not in my backyard.
Yes.
See, here's the thing. You're going to put superpowered assholes down here, and then I'm going to have to take care of them.
Yeah, we all know whose problem that's going to be. And Superman's like, why have you not told me any of this stuff?
How come I'm finding out now here?
Why did you let me find out in front of Aquaman? I look like an idiot. You made me look stupid. And,
it's their first marital spot.
Right. And before they can almost kiss, they get an interruption that Magog has been found.
So,
I'm going to go into just a little bit here. There is no build-up in this relationship that we get to see.
That's true.
And I hate that shit. Even, just give me something. Just give me little crumbs. Give me, Wonder Woman could have brought him a cake or something. Something that would have been,
with a file in it, so he could escape from that prison he made for himself in Kansas.
Just something that shows me that there's an interest on each part, that they want some kind of romance. Because all this is you putting 2 people who are supposed to be hot together. And it's boring. Yeah. And it's tired. And I hate it. Make there be some kind of chemistry.
Yeah.
You don't need to just put the guy with the girl. That's
it's that
bad writing.
It's that
lazy.
Trope that I don't particularly care for. The whole, they're just fighting and they're getting closer and closer to each other and they're yelling and now they're kissing for some reason. It's like...
No, see, I like that.
That's what happens here.
I like enemies to lovers. This is not that.
Well, they're yelling at each other, and then she's getting ready to kiss him, and then they get interrupted.
There's no draw for these 2. There's no chemistry.
Yeah.
They're just...
You're not alone. I think a lot of DC fans do not like the Wonder Woman Superman ship. I'm indifferent to it. And that's not fair because I'm indifferent to these characters. Not completely. As we did in our Superman retrospective, there are times when I really care for Big Blue. But overall, he's just not a character I super worry about.
Yeah.
It is some third string Marvel guy that you're well, when they show up, it's kind of cool. I hope they find a happy relationship. I don't ship them with anybody or care who they ship with. Which is sad because, these are 2 out of the 3 pillars that DC was built on. But I'm still looking for that Wonder Woman comic, and I will say it as I always say it. If you've got the answer, please put it and send us a message. In the show notes, there's tons of ways to contact us. Give me something Wonder Woman to read that will make me fall in love with her as a character. Because I want to. Yeah. She seems cool. But, I haven't got there yet. And ergo, this is fine with me. It feels like a waste of a page, but it doesn't... It does not upset me as it upsets you, I guess.
I like romance and things. I like to read about relationships. That's mainly the reason why I like to read things. Even if it's not a romantic relationship, watching people interact with each other is a thing that I enjoy watching from the outside.
Yeah.
So whenever shit like this happens...
If you need more proof of that, in 2 weeks, part 3 of I
Want to Be a Wall.
Yeah.
I related very highly to the girl in that.
I know. That's why I brought it up.
But I enjoy reading about relationships. But for me, there has to be some reason why they exist. I don't understand why they almost kiss here. Because up until this point, we have done nothing to establish any kind of romantic interest. He's not over Lois.
I was going to say, I could make a reason. I don't think there's anything in the
material
text,
is what I'm talking about. Here's the thing. I read fan fiction. I'm fine with people making reasons. You could easily say
he's heartbroken and widowed and lonely, and she is a ship without a place to port because, like, she literally got kicked out and lost all of her titles. She's in a very vulnerable position. Adrenaline is high because they're fighting. Whatever. But none of that's in the text.
No.
That's all stuff you would have to give, and you would only give if you wanted to see these two together, which you do not.
No.
So you would not give.
They've just done nothing to establish it, and this doesn't feel earned, and I hate it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, luckily, as long as you ignore the epilogue, like, this thing never pans out.
That's also a problem with it. They never, even if you wanted to, like, you could start from here even. Maybe they realize right here that they've got some kind of chemistry going on, and they realize that this could be a thing.
Yeah.
They still do nothing to establish any of it. You don't get to see it.
Well, it's even a little weirder later when they kiss and there's nothing there. It's like, oh, well, then there's nothing there. But, maybe there is. We'll talk about that in part 2 next month.
I will have more words.
Yes. But they found Magog. And earlier they were talking about how it felt like Superman could find Magog whenever he wanted with his super hearing and super sight. And maybe he didn't want to because maybe he was scared. And da-da-da-da. So there was a lot of whispering behind his back, which I'm assure you he heard because he has super hearing, about whether he even wanted to find Magog. But they have. And apparently he's in Kansas. And man, I did not expect
I felt bad
to feel the things I felt for Magog. Yeah, I like this from Wade and Ross because they set it up like you're getting ready to get a hell of a fight. But it even starts out sad. Magog is like carrying a house, the shell of a house. And he's saying, gently, gently. And then the house crumbles. Like, it falls apart on him and he falls over. And he's like, nah! He gets mad. He blows the fucking house up with his scepter. And then Superman shows up. Asking what he's doing back in Kansas. And I have to say, a hell of a fair question. Because, yeah. What are you doing back in Kansas, man? And this is where we get the backstory. Magog explains that all these people that died are his fault. And he's like, I'm going to respectfully disagree. And Magog explains what happened. He's like, look, already, even before I came along, people were talking about you being a Boy Scout. Or you're too good of a hero. Like, we don't need some soft shoe hero. We need a Punisher. We need somebody's going to, wrong universe, but we need somebody who's going to murder people. Because these criminals just keep coming back. And Magog, to prove he's the hero of tomorrow, catches the Joker.
After I
think the Joker killed Lois.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Magog is like...
He talks about all the victims.
It says, how many did he take out? Just that last time. 92 men? Yeah. And then Superman says, and one woman. And that's where you're like, oh, I think that's where Lois died.
He took out the Daily Planet, I think.
Yeah. And Magog just shows up and blows him away. Like, while the police are carrying him to the, I don't know what you call it, the trolley, the
paddy wagon.
Paddy wagon, that's what
it was. There you
go. Yeah. They're carrying him to the paddy wagon, Magog just fucking kills him.
Yep.
Superman gets there, and Superman, complete with gray hair and ponytail.
They could have left him hot. It's so disappointing.
He basically gets in court, and he wants to try Magog for murder.
All right. Pause. Yes. This is where I was going to bring up. So, this is the approach that the superheroes have to dealing with things is tiresome.
Yeah.
Magog kills the Joker after the Joker blows up the Daily Planet.
Yeah.
Killing one guy doesn't mean killing all of the guys. Mm-hmm. Sometimes some people do need to die. Mm-hmm. There's an episode of BuzzFeed Unsolved, and this is what it made me think of, where they're talking about, I think his last name's McCroy or something, and it was just this dude in this town who, like, he was a pedophile, he kept doing crimes. Every time he'd get arrested, he'd get off because he had money and he knew people, and basically he was a powerhouse of just bad shit.
Yeah.
And he never paid any kind of price for any of his indiscretions. And eventually, he gets shot in the back of his truck, and they kill him. Now,
who's they? Or
that's the thing.
Know? Okay.
The whole town was outside. The whole town saw who murdered this guy. Yeah. The whole town says they don't know.
Gotcha.
And so whoever did kill him got away with it. Now, this does not make a town full of serial killers. This is not a town full of sociopaths. This is one dude for whom death was the only way to stop him. Mm-hmm. There are some people, sometimes, in very, very rare instances, in my opinion, for whom the only way to stop them is them not existing anymore. I definitely think the Joker qualifies as that type of person.
Yeah.
Magog killing the Joker is not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It also wouldn't necessarily make him a big, huge problem.
No, it made him a hero.
Yes.
According to the Daily Planet, which I guess is running out of a popcorn stand at this juncture.
But it's one of those things where I feel like the black and white thinking is stupid. Mm-hmm. I'm not advocating that you murder everyone who looks at you sideways.
I agree it doesn't work, and yet I weirdly respect it in people that hold that belief. In the same way, I like people who are kind no matter what. Like people who are... Now I'm going to use the image that has been painted of Gandhi and not the Gandhi we actually know. Yeah. Like that idea of like peace no matter what and resistance through without war. Like I love that there are people that believe that. I
love that
and exists. I love Superman for believing that. But in this case, I totally am okay with the Joker dying. Even he was killed by an asshole like Magog. I'm fine.
I don't even think Magog is that big of an asshole. I do think that it goes too far eventually.
I think he's careless.
Yes.
Like, this is careless. Like, do you see how close that dude's hand there to Joker? Like, he almost shot a cop's hand. Well.
Nah.
Yeah.
As you say.
He almost shot an Arkham doctor who was putting him back in the paddy wagon's hand. Maybe. I don't know who that hand belongs to. Yeah. Possibly a cop. Possibly Gray Scrubs.
I'm not arguing that he doesn't need guidance.
Yeah.
I am saying, though, that the way Superman approaches this...
Superman isn't good at guidance. He's good as a symbol, but when he talks, he really is very authoritarian and very black and white, and
it's tiresome.
Hard to get by. Yeah.
It's tiresome.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it'd be hard to deal with somebody who was like that, who always did the right thing and was always telling you to do the right thing. To the point
it's not even that it's the right thing.
Well, again... right in parentheses.
It's his idea.
Yeah.
We cannot deviate from this thing. It's the same problem I have with Batman. We do not kill.
Yeah.
Great. What you're doing isn't working.
Now you ain't got no mana. Bane and Two-Face blued it up.
What you're doing isn't working.
Yeah. I always think it's interesting, like, and they don't do it in more comics, but you do have the comics with reforming criminals, which kind of helps that make more sense.
Yeah, well,
like in The Flash. A lot of Flash villains have actually reformed and become heroes. And there have been ones who have tried and gone back to crime and then reformed again and gone back to crime. Like Spider-Man. Sandman's reformed, and a couple of his other rogues have also... Prowler ended up being a good guy in the actual comic universe. We'll let the multiverse be as it be, but
we'll see what happens in that.
Yeah, Prowler's reformed, the Rocket Racer, like a couple of the goofier ones. Like there is reform possible.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, but I think there's a body count limit where it just... I don't know. When you put this much moral, like turn this many moral screws in a comic universe, it doesn't quite work, because in a normal universe a human whose only power is too much face paint could be locked up forever.
It's true.
Like he wouldn't keep getting out. So once you've suspended that disbelief, it creates all these other problems with like what works and what doesn't. And it's like when people argue that Batman's a fascist. It's like, well, in his universe maybe not, but like if you took what he did there and put it in the real world, maybe so. In the same way, Commissioner Gordon is a great cop in the DC universe. If you took him into the real world, he'd probably be a real cop. Then the balance is off.
Yeah. No, I'm just taking it. I'm taking it in universe.
Yeah.
At a certain point, Joker has to die.
And does. Courtesy of the McGogger. And he gets acquitted of murdering him.
So apparently most people agree with me.
And Superman is not super... Yeah, most people are on your side. And then Magog, after getting acquitted, challenges Superman to a fight. Much like as if Superman has the World Wrestling Federation Championship and Magog wants to beat him for the belt.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I wanted you to pass the torch. And instead you just flew away. And Magog says, I won by default while you flew off with a cape between your legs. But Magog knows that kind of made him look like a chump. Like Superman took the high road. And then he says, I never got a piece of you, and now you're right here, right where I want you. The way you took off, I almost thought you were afraid of me. A lot of people did, but that wasn't it. You were afraid that I was the man of tomorrow. You're afraid of the future I represented. Well, look around you. This is what I represent. And Superman, putting on a little Bruce here, says, you must be proud. Because Magog is gesturing to what's left of fucking Kansas, and it's nothing.
Nah, he's saying he knows what he represents, which is a dead wasteland.
Yeah.
You're not clever.
Yeah, and he goes, proud, god damn you, and he shoots Superman. And Magog says, proud of being the man of tomorrow? Your fault, you bastard. The world changed, but you wouldn't, so they chose me. They chose the man who would kill over the man who wouldn't, and now they're dead. A million ghosts punish me, lock me away, kill me. Just make the ghost go away. And he falls to his knees, and I feel so fucking bad for this guy. Mm-hmm. And I did not expect to. I was like, I thought Magog was just kind of going to be a one-note villain that they were going to fight.
Nope, Magog instead is interesting, which I am going to give Alex Ross credit for.
Very interesting. And Superman goes, we are... Like, Wonder Woman puts her hand on his shoulder, and he's like, we are at war. And she, like, takes her hand off, like, oh, shit. Like, her facial expression's like, maybe I'm not sure. This is Superman I thought I wanted. I'm not sure now that that's Superman I wanted. So now Superman's on board with the let's build a gulag. And he goes to Apocalypse to try and build it, which I think is wild. What a choice!
They do some interesting foreshadowing about like you are who fate leads you into being, regardless of whether or not that's what you want.
Yes, there's such a great line here. Superman says, "You're a god. You have the power to change your world," and Orion, who has taken over for his father, who he killed, says, or to destroy it. You would be surprised, I fear, at how easily one can lead to the other. Mm-hmm. That is so much foreshadowing. Like, you might as well stop reading there. Like, that is it. Man. Woo.
It's getting hot in here.
Yeah, right? And then he explains to him, I tried to free them.
Yep.
Like, but I freed them and I didn't lead them. And so they were lost. Like, all they knew was the yoke. And I took the yoke away and I gave them nothing in exchange for it.
Yep.
And they were lost.
You do. That's an interesting part of any type of revolution. Mm-hmm. You have to lay the groundwork before and after.
Yeah.
Of what could be.
You think overthrowing is the only step, and it's barely the first. Yeah.
Yeah, it is not the only step. It's not even the biggest step, in all honesty. The revolution part of it seems to be the easy part. If you can get past that, then you've got to do the building part, which is a part that a lot less people are ready for.
Yeah. Oh, man. And he's basically like, yeah, you can bring him. You can bring him here. It's fine. I don't even care anymore. Like, I've
Give me your waste.
Yeah, I thought I could save this world. I couldn't, so fuck it. And Superman's like, I was just asking for advice, man. I wasn't going to put him here. This place is a dump. Superman straight up says, I can learn nothing from you. And he's like,
yeah, probably not.
Yeah, you need to be you shouldn't be talking to me. You should be talking to the new gods. Duh. Why did you come to Apocalypse first, you psycho? Go to the nice planet right next door. Sure enough, he does. Talks to Big Barda and Mr. Miracle. Now, Mr. Miracle's whole gimmick is that he can escape from anything. So he's the perfect guy to get to build a prison that no one can escape from.
Yeah.
And his wife, Big Barda, she's just big and burly, so she can help build. Two of them together will do great. It's very funny because Superman says, so much the better for what I have in mind, because I need a very special kind of help. Are you and Barda in? And Mr. Miracle says, don't say in. Too confining. He's all about escapist.
Mercy.
Yes. So they're getting ready to start building. And guess where they're building?
Kansas?
In Kansas. Yes. And issue 2 ends with the scariest thing to happen.
I wrote down here
Lex and Bruce.
I thought Shazam would be the most disappointing, but really, Batsy, you made that you're mad that someone took your boyfriend away, so now you're working with Luthor.
Working with someone else who has the same problem.
I guess they have that in common.
Yeah.
Both of them lost their boyfriend.
Yeah, but Luthor is very surprised. He's like, can you believe it's the Batman? And Bruce is like, they've begun to build a gulag, you know that? This is not just, I'm not just teaming up with you, you know.
I don't like you.
For an interesting comic cover. This is big.
They're building a prison.
And Lex says, I can hardly believe you're here. A prison where you go without trial. A prison where you go if you disagree with Superman and
as many people as you threw into Arkham.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd be more okay with
Hey, they had trials. Apparently it's just a trial he needs. He says, I can hardly believe you're here. If I'd known that a common enemy could bring us together, I would have invented one years ago. This must be killing you. And Batman says, given the circumstances, what choice do I have but to throw in with Lex? Alone, neither you nor I can expect victory, but together we can curtail the Justice League once and for all. And that is where we are leaving off. Chapter 1 and 2 of Kingdom Come.
Yep.
Yes. In 2 weeks, we are going to finish up our beautiful walls wanting to be. I want to be a wall. And then 2 weeks after that, we will finish up Kingdom Come, which is part 3's 4, and then a short epilogue, which you will be happy to know takes place in the Justice League Cafe again. We get to go back there. So no matter how bad things get, don't worry, that disgusting chain of restaurants will survive.
Oh,
so Cecilia,
the future is dark.
I will save your final thoughts till the finale, but okay. I will ask you a very big question, which I really like.
Okay.
And I have also, not to keep it fair, I haven't thought about my answer.
All right.
What 2 heroes, this does not have to be Marvel, DC, it doesn't even have to be comic books. Okay. What 2 heroes do you want to put together to make an offspring who will also become a hero? Kingdom Come is all about children and grandchildren of heroes who also choose to become heroes. Well, again, with parentheses.
Yeah.
Like who do you want to see? Like, who would you like to see? What kind of hero? First, who do you want to ship? Who'd be good parents? And what do you think their hero kid would look like?
So, are we doing ones that don't have heroes and like kids in universe?
I mean, if there's one already out there that fits the bill perfectly, you're welcome to just take that one. So you do not have to make your own if there's one that already fits the bill. I'm also thinking of this because I also don't know.
Trying to think, a good ship, an interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, if I wanted to go with a safe choice, I could just do Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask because they have Chibiusa in universe, and she is a. But there's not a whole lot established as far as her actual powers go, and you'd think she'd be stronger because she's the child of the Moon Goddess and the Earth Protector.
Yeah.
But if in canon is to be believed, apparently Usagi is the strongest and eventually becomes Sailor Cosmos and is all alone, so everyone else dies.
Sorry,
so that would imply spoilers for a 30-year-old manga. But so that would imply that she's not the most powerful, which makes less sense than you would think. But I mean, that's a safe answer because there's already a superhero. I mean, Usagi and Mamoru are both superheroes, and they have a superpowered child.
Yeah.
I don't know. Trying to think, who's a good pairing, and who would make good parents? Because
I am breaking that thing where they have kids and then vanish.
And
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in bad parents.
Yeah. I always like the pairing of that they did on Young Justice with Cheshire and the Green Arrow clone. Like I like their
You mean the actual Red Arrow, not the clone?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well,
the clone was the one.
I thought she ended up with the one that had two hands.
No, she ended up with the one that had one hand.
Okay. I need to go back and finish watching that show.
I believe.
Yeah. But yeah, they strap the baby on the back and take it on adventures. It's fun times.
It's the same thing as Mayday in the super across the universe Spider-Man thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where Peter puts her in the little couch and just carries her with him.
And then they're crawling on the ceiling and stuff. It's very cute.
It is fucking adorable.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I want to ship a relationship that where it's cute. Where
here's the thing. If I get the notion of putting characters together to make cool little superpowered kids. Like, I understand why you would do that. And not all relationships work. So I understand why sometimes they don't end up together.
That's fair.
But regardless of that, I'm really over the trope of the bad parents.
Yeah.
Like, Logan fucking everything that has legs and is willing, and then just vanishing the moment that there's responsibilities. That shit's tired. Mm-hmm. He's a deadbeat. It's a knock against his character.
It kind of is, yeah.
You know?
They always try and save you. They're like, oh, he left without finding out. And I'm like, sure. How many times did he do that, though? it stops being believable. Eventually.
At some point, I believe he can smell.
Like, he left the day before she started showing, swear to God.
Yeah. He can smell that they're pregnant and he runs.
Right.
Yeah, that's what this is.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm over the trope of bad parents, so I want to ship people who care about their kids.
I'm going to take an easy one, because I've been thinking about it, and I got one I like. I'm gonna I mean, this is already a ship, but I'm gonna have Gambit and Rogue end up together, and they're gonna have a kid
a good one.
who can do explosive kisses, like he kisses you and then like throws you away with kinetic energy, and also is like a super good martial artist because you can't hope that someone's gonna let you kiss you like over and over again. You gotta also be able to fight, right?
Maybe it can be like a blowing kisses type.
Ooh,
of thing.
That'd be cool. It's like a little pink pair of lips that floats and hits you and blows you up.
Yeah. There you go. I like that.
And she finally unites the Thieves and Assassins guilds in New Orleans and makes them just a thieves.
The queen of thieves.
Yeah, she becomes the queen of thieves.
I love that.
Yeah. And she keeps a playing card gimmick. Like her whole like, I assume it's a half submerged mansion in a Louisiana swamp, but the whole thing's like card themed. Yeah. I'm here for it.
Okay, that is beautiful. Yeah. I love that.
Thank you.
And I love Gambit and Rogue. They're one of my favorite pairings. Yeah, they're adorable.
Yeah. I don't know. They keep breaking up. I don't know if they're together right now, but I hope they end up
together.
You know what?
They don't exist. Kids. They don't exist outside of the Mr. and Mrs. X universe where they do end up married and happy. That's fine. That is the one thing that is real.
That's the
None
one
of the rest of it.
Yeah, that's the continuity I'm going with.
Yeah, we're not going off of that show where Gambit just died. Yeah, my baby. I love him so much. Again, he's got hair.
He does have hair.
It's the hair. All right. We'll stick with X-Men then, and we'll go with Jubilee and Nightcrawler.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah,
those are probably after Gambit, or probably my next two faves.
Jubilee was my girl growing up. I loved her so much. She was my favorite character in that show.
Super stylish and cool. Like, she always hung out with the coolest people. She was either hanging out with Wolverine or Gambit. Like, she was hip.
Yes.
She was so fucking... She was like mall cool.
Yes.
She was the mall cool kid.
And she was also the youngest one, which as a child...
Made her relatable.
Yeah, watching X-Men
and they somehow avoided the thing where it's like a kid, but it's annoying. Like with Batman and Robin or fucking like the young Thundercats, the little kid ones. Like, I never liked those as little kids. Like, I know they're like, hey, put a kid in there and kids will feel like they're in the show. It's like, yeah, I don't want to watch a show about people like kids in the show, but Jubilee somehow dodged that. She was fucking cool.
I loved her. So Jubilee and Nightcrawler, and what is Nightcrawler can hop between realms and stuff.
Yeah, he can teleport. I guess now this child's gonna teleport and leave like a firework display behind.
Well, I think they've upgraded Jubilee's powers if the stuff that I've read on the internet is correct, and she detonates things at like an atomic level. That's what it is.
Oh, that's fun.
So we could do like teleportation with atomic bombs. Like
Like I leave, but where I was, booms.
Or something like that.
That's
or like
nice.
Yeah, so
I'm here for it.
There you go. Yeah. And it's an odd pairing. I've not seen Jubilee and Nightcrawler
I haven't
together.
either. That's a fun one.
Yeah, there you go.
The only thing they have in common is I like them both.
Yeah.
Speaking of two people that have no right, you're going to have to do some clever writing to avoid this Superman Wonder Woman conundrum, because those two, that's a real odd couple pairing.
Hey, why not though?
Oh no, I'm here for it. I like it. All right. So, that is all for this episode of Comic Dissection. Please come back in 2 weeks for I Want to Be a Wall, the third and final volume. And till then, you know all the stuff. Be your own ally. And in our show notes are all the ways to contact us, as well as our Patreon if you like what you want and like what you hear and you want to hear more.
There's stuff on the Patreon
There's
now.
a lot on the Patreon. Our Patreon's been hopping. Been busy. We've been putting the work in for you. We think it's a good value for your buck. Yeah. Until then, thank you, be well, all that stuff.
We love you very much.
We love you very much.
Bye-bye.